So once again, welcome everybody to our vision for a world without orphanages. My name is Muanguzi. You can call me Mua. I will be your moderator today. And I'm really excited to be doing this. It is my first session, but really pleased to be doing it. So I'd like to talk about the purpose of this session. Um, so I'll briefly set out the purpose. We're here as part of the World's Social Summit, a historic moment dedicated to redefining the social development or what social development truly means for people everywhere. This session celebrates that global commitment, but it also carries a specific mission, which is to mobilize increased support for the Global Charter on Children's Care Reform, which was launched in New York this September. The Charter calls on governments, donors, and civil society to ensure that every child grows up in a safe and loving family and not in an orphanage. So as we meet here in Doha and online with our colleagues in Qatar, our purpose is to situate care reform at the very heart of social development, not as a side issue, but as a core measure of progress and justice. The Doha Declaration, which will be adopted at this summit, recognizes families as a central enabler and contributor to social development. So this session brings that principle to life. So folks, friends joining us from across the world, those in Doha, our goal today is clear. We want to connect with national action and to ensure that no child anywhere in this world is left behind in our pursuit for social development. Next slide, please. I'd like to just talk through our session today, and I'll just kind of highlight what we're going to do. So I've started us off with this section, our vision for a world without orphanages, but I'm really excited and I will be introducing two other speakers. We then will speak about from ambition to action, where we'll really go deep in bridging the national leadership and global policy advocacy. And I'd like to thank His Excellency Nirav Patel, Ambassador from the United Kingdom to the State of Qatar, for hosting that session. We will then listen to young advocates, self-advocates, lived experience to lasting impact around the power of self-advocacy. And then the urgency and the importance of this session, which I cannot make more emphasis on. The time really is now, where we'll hear from some of our civil society colleagues and some of my friends who will give us recommendations and interactive reflections. And then we'll close off the session at the end of that. And I just want to stress that, you know, it's a 90-minute journey across the world. We want to make sure that everyone's comfortable and takes something really meaningful from this session. Thank you. Marie, we can move on. So folks, without further ado, we have a pre-recorded message here from Natalie Pinkham. And then after that, I'll invite Mark Waddington for his words as well. So please listen, sit back to Natalie. Over to you, Marie.
And to finally see and feel. Hi, I'm Natalie Pinkham, and I'm really sorry not to be there in person today due to filming commitments, because this is something truly close to my heart. I've been an ambassador and a patron for Hope and Homes for Children for over 15 years now, and to finally see and feel that we're at a global tipping point in deeming orphanages as wholly unacceptable places for children is fantastic. Seeing this being discussed as part of an official UN side event in partnership with the UK government, which has recently launched a global campaign and charter on care reform, genuinely gives me hope. My own experience was travelling out to Romania as a well-meaning but ultimately naive politics student. I went to work in an orphanage and became particularly attached to one little girl called Morella. Now, the time came when I had to leave, and in doing so, I effectively abandoned her all over again. I left full of guilt, full of shame that I wasn't able to do more. I went with great intentions, but actually made the problem worse. I'd become complicit in the problem, propping up what was a flawed system of care, one that actually exploited children, exposed them to abuse and neglect and a lack of love. Hope and Homes for Children has been working for over 30 years now to bring kids back to family, because that's ultimately where they want to be, in whatever configuration that is. Parents, grandparents, aunties, uncles, they just need a sense of belonging, a sense of identity, a sense of unity and a framework behind them. And today, at this summit, you can be part of the solution for millions of children all around the world separated from their families. Thank you so much for being here today and for signing the charter, because this really does draw a line in the sand around child welfare. 5.4 million children are trapped in orphanages around the world. 80% of them aren't orphans at all, and they need to come back to family. That's where we all belong. That's where we all deserve to be. Thank you for your time. Today is the start of a movement in backing children everywhere and saying that they matter. And to get back to family is what they ultimately deserve.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Natalie Pinkham,
Hi.
Ambassador for Hope and Homes for Children. A heartfelt and grounding message as always, and really important there to hear about her own experiences and how important this is, not just for her, but for all of us here. It's now my pleasure to invite Mark Waddington, CEO of Hope and Homes for Children, and our co-host for this session, a very good friend of mine, to give us his words of welcome. Welcome, Mark.
Moa, thank you so much, and welcome to everybody, to all our participants, speakers, partners, and especially to those with lived experience. Nabs, it's great to see you again. Looking forward to hearing you speak. I'd also like to thank the UK's FCDO for partnering with us on this important event. Their leadership in developing and recently launching the Global Charter on Children's Care at UNGA in September is lending huge momentum to improving the world for many children. In fact, more than 30 countries have already signed up. And I want to especially thank Moldova, Paraguay, and Zambia, who are showing their commitment to championing the care reform movement by being with us here today. But let's just take a step back for a moment. The World Social Summit provides a unique political opportunity to renew global commitments to the 2030 agenda. And many of these commitments require strengthening families to be placed right at the heart of what they're about in order for them to succeed. And there must be action attached to these concerns, to these commitments. I was in Rwanda last week, where the number of children in its orphanage system has been reduced from over 5,000 to less than 170 children. And as with many countries whose care systems are dependent on institutions, Rwanda faces challenges with stigma, particularly associated with disability, not only in the system itself, but also at community level. And yet it is successfully elevating the voices of children and young people living with disability so that their interests are heard and better understood, and also ensured that they are provided with the kinds of services they need. This leadership was emulated by the British High Commissioner in Kigali last week, who convened the diplomatic community to meet with and listen to young people and work collectively in support of the government's efforts to strengthen families caring for children with disabilities. Progress really is being made around the world, but we need to act more urgently and more decisively. The Doha Declaration, the World Social Summit itself, and today's solutions session take place at a crucial time. For those children who are confined in institutions, they face the prospect of enduring harm, neglect, and abuse, all with lifelong consequences. And for younger children, the criticality of acting now is an imperative, because for every 3 months that a child under 3 remains confined in an institutional setting, they will lose 1 month of growth. The root causes of driving family separation are poverty, weak social protection, poor access to inclusive education and health services, humanitarian crises and climate shocks, and entrenched stigma and discrimination. But here's the good news. Childcare reform is a turnkey intervention that generates systemic dividends across all those bases. And here's some more good news. There are very large sums of money locked up in orphanage economies around the world. So we have the opportunity to develop ways in which those funds can be unlocked and rechanneled into family strengthening. So the purpose of this session today is to distill the high-level commitments presented in the Doha Declaration and the Global Charter and turn them into concrete national action that deliver measurable improvements for children and families. Some of our lived experience participants will help to guide us in this. And these concrete national actions must be clear. Institutionalization in childcare systems must end. They are not a last resort. They serve as a violation of children's rights. There is no place for them anywhere in the 21st century. So here is our call to action, and there are 4 parts to it. 1, we ask all states to translate the Global Charter into time-bound national commitments with measurable milestones and budget lines to implement them. And we call on the UN to embed childcare reform across all its social policy frameworks. 2, children and young people with care experience must be genuinely consulted in the design and formulation of social development policies and services. 3, international partners and donors must invest to find ways to redirect funds from institutional settings and towards prevention, family strengthening, and community services. And finally, 4, accountability to the best interests of children and young people is critical, because let us be clear, if society were truly accountable to children, we would not be confining them in institutions. This requires all states to commit to developing clear accountability mechanisms, including regular reporting, independent reviews, ministerial oversight on progress, and meaningfully enabling children and young people to participate in the monitoring and evaluation of that progress. So to close, ending institutionalization is entirely achievable within our lifetime if the political will, targeted finance, and right kinds of partnerships are in place. Today, you are all part of that change. Thank you. Mua, back to you.
Thank you so much, Mark. I couldn't have said it better. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate the urgency. So folks, I believe the scene is now set. Childcare reform is not just important. It is an urgent and global imperative. The Global Charter on Children's Care Reform represents an unprecedented opportunity to turn shared values into real, lasting change for children and families. And from Mark's voice there, the urgency is clear. But urgency alone isn't enough. What matters now, as Mark has said, is action. And that action has to come through bold national policies and measurable actions with budgets. The kind we'll be hearing about in the next discussion, translated into concrete national plans that keep families together and make institutions truly the end. We have a window of opportunity right now to build systems that protect, strengthen, and invest in families rather than separate them. So in this first segment, we're honored to be guided by His Majesty's Excellency Nirav Patel, the United Kingdom's ambassador to the State of Qatar, who will facilitate a discussion with a brilliant panel of leaders driving this change in their own countries. So allow me, folks, to invite His Excellency to start. I'm aware that we have a few people that might join later, Your Excellency, so just a reminder to start with some of our other panelists. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Moa, and thank you, Mark, also for both of you for your sort of inspirational words and setting the scene so effectively. Could I just do a quick sound check? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Brilliant. I just want to sort of check who from the panel is available. I see Anna Mubukwanu Sabanze from Zambia. I think you're here.
Yes, I'm here.
Great, thank you. I'll do introductions properly. I just want to sort of check. Emmanuel Nabu Nabs, are you there as well? I'm not sure. I'm hoping he'll be able to join in a few moments. Do we have His Excellency, the Minister Gutierrez from Paraguay? Expect that His Excellency, the Minister, will also dial in when he can. And I think we're also hoping for a representative from the government of Moldova, Christina Yandic. Okay, so there might be a couple of connections that dial in as we keep going. So I think what we'll start with is a conversation with Anna from Zambia. If I could just sort of set the scene a little bit from the United Kingdom point of view before we kind of get going. Moa has inflated the honorifics before me. I am the British ambassador to Qatar. Please just call me Nirav for the purposes of this conversation. It feels like the world has come to Doha. In a sense, it has. The United Nations has raised its flag over the very large convention center. And this is an exciting moment. We are on the eve of the World Social Development Summit, only the second one in global history, and the last one was 30 years ago. So it just feels like there is a sense of momentum and fluidity and dynamism on a huge range of issues. And I'm so delighted that we can talk about children's care reform as part of that agenda. I think it's a reminder that social development must begin with our youngest citizens. Today's conversation, I hope, can be about leadership. I hope it can be about lived experience. And I hope, as we've heard already, it can be about action. I'm really interested in what steps are needed to ensure that every child has a safe, loving, and supportive environment. This is about building a movement, about making change. The United Kingdom is really proud, the government of the United Kingdom is really proud to play a part. We are playing a part alongside other partners inside the UK, including from Mark and his organisation, but also the international community. And it's so great to see so many people represented here. As we get into the discussion, I can say a little bit, I think, about what the UK is doing domestically and internationally, but I don't want to repeat what others have said. And I'm here to listen and to learn. We've got a really brilliant panel. It's great to see Emmanuel Nabs on the line as well. I wanted to sort of cover this session in two parts. I wanted to hear firstly, just in a quick fire sense, why this matters, why the countries that we'd invited to speak a little bit are interested in signing up to this agenda. And secondly, and much more substantively, what we're doing about it, things that we're proud of having done already and things that we're sort of excited to do next. So let me introduce the two panelists that I've seen so far. So we have Anna Mubukwanu Sabanze, Chief Welfare Officer of Zambia. I'll ask you to say a little bit about yourself in a moment. And of course, Emmanuel Nabu. We've not met before, but I'm going to call you Nabs because I was told to. I hope that's okay. Thank you very much. You are the Director for Mission Advancement and Partnership, helping children worldwide from Sierra Leone. A powerful advocate with lived experience. You have transformed an orphanage into a reintegration centre, successfully reuniting children and families. And through your leadership, We are now supporting over 1,600 children in 430 family units through education, healthcare, and empowerment. What an amazing story. I really look forward to hearing more about that. And I don't want to sort of bring you in at the end. I can't sort of censor you in the sort of conversation, so I might turn to you just in a moment. But Anna, if I could just turn to you first, if you could just say a little bit about yourself, the work you're doing on this agenda, and keep it relatively brief, but I want you to focus on why it matters to you and to the government of Zambia, and then I'll come to you, Nabs, in a moment. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Your Excellency, for that invitation. Apologies for the last minute change on panelists. My PS is actually currently in a meeting in Doha, which is in a press briefing. So I was told you need to join the meeting. But suffice to say, I'm the Chief Social Welfare Officer responsible for child protection in Zambia. So I think I'm well versed to be able to speak to what we are talking about now. And also to just say, we've been working with Hope and Homes. I think the first time we worked with Hope and Homes was in 2015. And I hope now that we can continue with that elaboration, with that collaboration. So why did we sign the charter? Well, Zambia signed the Global Charter because we believe every child deserves to grow up in a family. Zambia has over 158 childcare facilities with roughly 5,800 children, and we believe all these need to be able to grow up in family-based care. Recently, on the 12th of September, my minister participated in the Care for Children conference that was held in London in the UK, just to reaffirm what the country is working on in terms of working to place a child in a home, in a family environment. So we really reaffirm our joining this charter to share the responsibility and protect our children's rights, and also to strengthen families and build inclusive, caring societies. We encourage all countries that have not joined yet to actually join this movement, because no child should be left alone.
Brilliant. What a powerful case for change and for joining. Nabs, before I come to you, I see we have Christina on the line, the Deputy Secretary General of the Ministry of Labour and Social Protection in Moldova. She has very deep experience in EU integration and social protection modernisation, so it's a completely different context from Europe. She's steering Moldova's alignment with European standards, including reforms to strengthen family-based care. Thank you so much for joining us, Christina. We're just doing a very quick fire, 30-second, 1-minute introduction as why this agenda matters, why this charter, why you're on board. Give us that, and then we'll come back to the what in a moment.
Thank you so much for having me as a panelist today. Well, the Republic of Moldova has joined the Global Charter out of our firm belief that every child should grow up in a safe and nurturing family. The Charter embeds actually our long-term commitment to move away from institutional care and build systems that prioritize family-based alternatives, ensuring that every child has a place where they belong. And we call today everybody that attends this panel to join efforts and to make sure we provide for our children a safe and nurturing future.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Could I just do a quick test? Have we got anyone from the government of Paraguay online? No? In which case, if I can just sort of summarize what we've heard so far and just add a bit from the UK context. Just the case for change is not new, and this campaign has been going on for a long time. I think I'm conscious we've got a lot of colleagues who've been in the trenches for many, many years, but this is a real opportunity to lift things up. I think for the United Kingdom, the case for change is a moral one. It's a personal one. There's so many advocates for this across the British government. One of the strongest, I would argue, is David Lammy, the Deputy Prime Minister, for whom this is a personal issue as well. For us, it's an economic case, a development case, a political case, a strategic case. Essentially, there's every case for advancing this agenda. But before we get into what exactly the policies and practices are, I wanted to bring in someone with a lived experience, someone who's been dynamically delivering this agenda on the ground. So Nabs, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and your agenda. And what's your key message to world leaders gathering for the summit today and tomorrow? What do you want us to hear and our leaders to hear?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, His Excellency. Good morning. I'm Emmanuel Nabil, commonly known as Nabs. I grew up in an orphanage in Sierra Leone, later served as its director, and now work as a care reform advocate with Helping Children Worldwide, working alongside governments, institutions, and families to strengthen child potential systems. This work is deeply personal to me because I know firsthand how it feels like for a child to grow up without a family. And I've also seen how with the right level of support, children can be safely reunited with families and communities. So my work in this has been very, very much critical for me. So my one key message really to world leader is this, that care reform is not charity. It is smart, sustainable development. For too long, we have treated the care of children as a matter of welfare or humanitarian response, really. But something to fix temporarily when families are struggling. But the science of child development tells us something much deeper, that children have two fundamental needs: attachment and authenticity. Attachment means knowing that someone will always be there for you, that you are seen, that you are loved, that you are safe. Authenticity, on the other hand, means having the freedom to be yourself, to express your identity, and to feel valued. So institutions can provide structure, they can provide food, they can provide education. And I am personally grateful for that because I grew up in one of them. But they cannot provide attachment or nurture identity. They cannot replace the love, the guidance, and belonging that come along only from a family and community. So when we invest in keeping families together, we are not only protecting children, we are strengthening the very fabric of our societies. Strong families mean stronger economies, safer communities, and greater human potential. So therefore, care reform must therefore be embedded in national development agendas, not treated as a side issue of child protection. Because when families are strong, children stay in school, parents can work, and nations can thrive. So let's stop separating children from families to meet their needs, and instead strengthen families so they can meet those needs themselves. That is how we turn compassion into long-term impact. And that is how we turn policy into transformation. So that would be a message to world leaders in this work.
That's such a powerful set of messages. Thank you so much. That's incredibly inspiring and has brought to life. And can I just say congratulations on everything you've accomplished and express my admiration for your personal resilience and turning that into such impressive dynamism. Let me stick with you for a moment, Nabs, if that's okay. So that we've covered the why. What about the what? How do you think the Charter could help you and your peers? And what reforms, what practical things do you want to see as a result? And then I'm going to turn it back to the decision makers and I'm going to put their feet to the fire.
Yeah, sure. The Global Charter for Children's Care Reform is more than just a document. It is a mirror for many of us who grew up in care. So along my journey, growing up in an orphanage, later serving as its director, and now working alongside partners, governments, and community to reshape systems, I have seen the same pattern repeated across countries. Children ending up in institutions, not because their families don't love them, but because their families can't access basic needs like food, healthcare, education, and shelter. So the Charter directly confronts this reality. It recognizes that children belong in families, not institutions, and that poverty should never be mistaken for neglect. It brings together the science, the evidence, and the voice of people with lived experience to guide systems toward prevention, family reunification, as well as accountability. So for me and my peers, the charter offers something powerful. It offers validation and voice. For the first time, our experiences are not stories of pity, but sources of knowledge. So it tells every young person who grew up in care that their voices, matter, that they can help design solutions that protect others from going through what they did. So it also gives, I think, practitioners, governments, and donors a shared framework for collaboration, a way to move from good intentions to measurable change. So in many ways, the Global Charter transforms our survival stories into tools for systems transformation. Then it bridges that gap between our emotions, and evidence, reminding the world that care reform is not just about fixing broken systems, but care reform is about rebuilding trust. It's about restoring families. It's about redefining what true child protection should look like. So that's what I think how the charter could impact, me and my peers in this care experience, care reform work we do together.
That's really, really brilliant. And I think there's such an important point there about how we build our solutions, not just what solutions they end up on. And that sort of inclusivity and that design from the beginning is an incredibly important point that we mustn't lose. Yeah. I see we have Minister Gutierrez from Paraguay on the line. I just want to check, are you able to come in and just say a little bit, Minister, about why the reform agenda matters to you? And then I think we'll switch, come back around and have another round about achievements that we're proud of.
Bueno, aquí desde Paraguay, muy buenos días, es de día todavía aquí. Un saludo para todas las delegaciones de las diferentes partes del mundo con quienes estamos compartiendo hoy aquí en este evento tan importante para el cuidado alternativo de nuestros niños y niñas. En primer lugar, quiero valorar la iniciativa global que está encabezando Reino Unido a través de la Carta Global de Children in Care, que busca proteger a los niños y adolescentes, niños, niñas y adolescentes más vulnerables entre los vulnerables, como decimos siempre. Y también destacar siempre el apoyo que como país, como Estado, hemos recibido, el apoyo y la cooperación técnica del Reino Unido para poder encarar este proceso del cuidado alternativo. La primera reflexión que quiero dejar es que podemos tener siempre muy buenas ideas como Estados, podemos tener también la intención de implementar programas que pueden ser efectivos para mejorar las políticas públicas hacia los niños, en este caso los cuidados alternativos, pero nada de esto se puede materializar sin una decisión política. La decisión política es lo clave, identificar la problemática, pero posicionar el tema y lograr la decisión política. Y la decisión política se logra y queda en evidencia a través de las inversiones que sean tangibles. Entonces, desde Paraguay podemos decir que posicionamos, identificamos el problema, identificamos las brechas, posicionamos políticamente los cuidados alternativos, la gran deficiencia que existía en los cuidados alternativos hacia los niños, y tomamos la decisión política. Y esa decisión política se dio desde el más alto nivel, desde el presidente de la República y desde la primera dama, su esposa. Hemos, a través de ellos, trabajado con un lobby en el Congreso Nacional para obtener los recursos, ¿verdad? Teníamos una ley fantástica, una ley fabulosa de derecho a vivir en familia, cuidados alternativos y adopciones, que no tenía el presupuesto necesario. Entonces, con la decisión política que se traduce en inversión, empezamos a dar estos primeros pasos. Y en ese orden de cosas quiero mencionar que hace un año lanzamos el programa Familias de la Guarda, que es para fortalecer el acogimiento familiar. Por un lado, hemos reducido considerablemente el número de niños y niñas en el marco del proceso de desinstitucionalización, es decir, los niños que estaban en los en los hogares, en las instituciones de abrigo, hoy reducimos considerablemente y están en familias acogedoras. Pero esas familias acogedoras también las pudimos captar gracias a la inversión que se tradujo en contratar 3 veces más equipos técnicos en prácticamente todo el país. Anteriormente, la inversión que existía posibilitaba que solamente el 10 o 20% de las regiones del país se cuenten con equipos técnicos que puedan avanzar en los procesos de cuidado alternativo. Hoy los tenemos en casi todo el país gracias a esa inversión y cuadruplicamos, es decir, 400% más la inversión en cuanto a lo que es cuidados alternativos y adopciones prioritarias y la capacidad de respuesta que tenemos como Estado. Y algo novedoso, por lo menos en nuestro país, que no lo teníamos y que vimos también la experiencia del Reino Unido, fue que estamos trabajando en el apoyo financiero mensual a las familias acogedoras y también a la familia ampliada. Prevenimos muchas veces la separación de la familia ampliada a través del apoyo financiero en el cuidado. Y para cerrar esta parte de lo que ya es la respuesta cuando se dio el problema, mencionar que esa voluntad política trascendió solamente este poder del Estado, que es el poder del gobierno, el poder ejecutivo, sino que logramos grandes acuerdos políticos con el sector judicial, con la Corte Suprema de Justicia y con el Ministerio de la Defensa Pública, que vienen a ser los representantes de los niños. Y voy cerrando la idea también mencionando que tenemos que descongestionar el sistema de protección, no solamente dando una respuesta cuando los problemas ya se dieron y a través de la desinstitucionalización, sino que tenemos programas muy robustos y muy fuertes ahora en materia de prevención de la separación familiar. Uno de ellos es uno de los programas emblemáticos de este gobierno, que es el programa Hambre Cero en las escuelas. Anteriormente, el 5% de la población de los niños que iban a la escuela en Paraguay accedían al servicio de alimentación escolar. Hoy el 100%, todos los niños del Paraguay acceden al servicio de alimentación escolar. Eso ayuda a la retención escolar, fortalece a la familia, ¿verdad? Y por otro lado, un programa muy novedoso que también ya lo hemos lanzado es el programa Semillas del Futuro, que viene a trabajar el cuidado y la protección de los niños y niñas de la primera infancia, con mucho foco en los 1000 primeros días de vida, con la construcción de más de 100 centros en todo el país, centros de atención integral a la primera infancia, para trabajar el cuidado, la estimulación, también alimentación, atenciones médicas, trabajar el área de identidad y lo más importante, poder trabajar en ese espacio, en esas infraestructuras fantásticas que se están construyendo, ya se están construyendo en todo el país, poder trabajar principalmente con las familias en el cuidado adecuado de los niños para prevenir situaciones de vulneración y situaciones de violencia. Asimismo, otros programas como programas que buscan la erradicación de la explotación laboral infantil, poder incluir dentro de estos programas sociales a las familias y muchos otros programas. Así que con esto nosotros demostramos desde el gobierno del Paraguay, del Estado paraguayo, que tenemos un firme compromiso en proteger de forma integral a nuestros niños y niñas. Principal foco en la prevención para que no sucedan los problemas, pero también estando listos para dar una respuesta en el caso de que los problemas aparezcan.
Thank you so much, Minister, and congratulations on everything that the state of Paraguay has achieved so far on this agenda. What an impressive account of I think, as you sort of said at the end, the comprehensive approach that's required from political decisions to investments to programs for prevention and response, and fundamentally setting out the results that you're achieving. Many, many congratulations. I think that kind of sets the scene very well. You know, so far we have 30 plus countries signed up to the charter, more than 100 organizations endorsing it. But the context is very different everywhere around the world. We have 3 different continents represented here. And all of us, I think, can learn from each other on our own as we sort of design our response to our respective journeys. Anna from Zambia, I wonder if I could bring you back in now. And could I ask you just sort of 2 questions? What is the one, choose one, what is the one aspect of care reform in Zambia of which you are most proud? And what are your key forward plans to implement at the national level that you want to highlight? Just a couple of minutes on that, please.
Thank you very much. As Zambia, we're most proud of the integration of child protection into all our national social protection systems. And through the different social protection programs, such as the social cash transfer program, the supporting women livelihoods, we work with families, especially single mothers, to be able to care for their children in the home environment. And this also helps with the 1,000 days of nutrition program that we also have. We are also strengthening our case management system to prevent family separation and are reforming institutional care by promoting kinship, foster care, and community reintegration. That is the one thing that we're proud of as a nation. I don't know if I should go into our plan immediately.
Yes, please keep going.
Yes, sure. Thank you. So in line with the charter, what we really would like to do, we have about 3 key issues that we want to work on. And the first one is prevention of separation, of family separation. We want to be able to strengthen that component of it. We are trying to expand the family-based and community-based services under the ministry, and to also include parenting programs, social work outreach, and also livelihood empowerment for the families to be able to take care of our children. So our main goal is to prevent unnecessary separation by tackling poverty, disability stigma, and also violence at household level. We also have the component of the alternative family-based care, which we are going to accelerate by scaling up foster care, kinship care, and support of independent living of young people transitioning from care, because most times those are the ones that are neglected. So we are trying to review and update our child protection and alternative care framework to align with the Global Charter and the UN guidelines for the alternative care of children. And the other thing that we want to do is the aspect of system strengthening and accountability. We are investing in our social service workforce, our data systems, and also our interministerial coordination, because this is not about one ministry, but multiple ministries working in the sector of child protection. And with support from partners such as UNICEF and civil society, we'll establish a national monitoring mechanism to track children in alternative care and also to measure progress towards deinstitutionalization. Through these efforts, Zambia reaffirms its determination to ensure that every child grows up in a nurturing, inclusive, and loving family environment, which is consistent with our Constitution and the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of Children, and also the Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Again, some really impressive accomplishments. I asked you for 1 and you gave me 3, but I totally understand that there's many more I'm sure you didn't get to. And the forward agenda is really impressive as well. Christina, switching to you, same questions. What are you most proud of and what are you going to do next?
Well, to be fair, we're very proud of Moldova's transformative progress in child protection achieved through sustained efforts over the 3 decades. So since 1995, the number of children in residential institutions in Moldova has fallen from 17,000 to just 370, which is a 97% reduction. In parallel, the number of children in professional foster care has grown, with over 850 children now living in 361 foster families. We have expanded as well our network of community child protection specialists, launched the Barnahus model for child victims of abuse, and strengthened the financial support for families. This evolution actually demonstrates Moldova's successful transition from institutional care to a family-centered and child-focused system. And if you ask me about our priorities for the next period, well, our immediate priority is to consolidate and expand the family-type alternative care as part of our national child protection program that we are in process of developing for 2027-2030. The program will integrate all the recommendation of the EU recommendation on child guarantee and will also contribute to fulfilling directly the objectives of the Global Charter on Children's Care Reform by promoting equitable access to quality services. And in the next period of time, we plan as well to recruit additional professional foster carers that include specialists in caring for siblings, children with disabilities, children in conflict with the law, as well develop additional alternative services like family-type children's homes, assisted housing units, protected housing units, to expand the Barnahus model in other regions of our countries and to strengthen the coordination we have already between the national institution and the development partners, which help us in this process. So throughout this action, we plan to ensure that no child grows in an institution, but instead in a loving and nurturing family.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And again, such an impressive agenda, both on the journey that you've taken and where you're going next. We've heard from 3 of the 30 countries that are on this journey that have signed the Charter. I know many more should be signing, and we hope will be signing in the coming days and weeks and months ahead. I mean, for the United Kingdom, I won't provide a detailed presentation. All I would say is that going back to what His Excellency Minister Gutierrez said, it's about political decisions and commitment, and it's about resources as well. And I'm delighted that we have committed over £500 million in the spending review announced earlier this year, just over the next 2 years, for a transformation fund for children's social care reform. And overall, that'll be a £2 billion commitment for the next 3 years. Alongside that, we have a new legislation on children's wellbeing and schools that tries to emulate some of the best practice on that comprehensive approach, some of the elements of which we've heard today. I know that there are some colleagues on the line who understand the UK context much better than I, and then perhaps in later sessions they can talk more about it if that's of interest. I just want to circle back, and maybe we'll start again with Nabs. Just one last question. I'm conscious we've got 1 minute left, so just 30 seconds each, please. We've spoken a lot about why this matters, and we've heard some really impressive accounts of what is being planned, but I want to go back to the how, which is I think very, very important. And for me, the center of the how is sort of how we do this and making sure that children and young people are centered. So in one sentence, what is your message to children and young people with care experience? What message do you want to give to the people who we're trying to focus on supporting? Nabs, you first.
Yeah, so first, I think we need to fully integrate a family-based care into the national child protection system. This goes for Sierra Leone and any other country that is involved, because I know that means aligning policies across social welfare, health, and education, ensuring that resource flow directly to families and communities, not institutions. The second, my message could be we must develop and fund a clear national transition plan, because as you said, it's high time we started kind of moving from information to implementation, because this is great. So the policies cannot just be something on piece of paper, but how do we really start translating this into reality? So we're developing a fun and clear national transition plan, once with timelines, accountability mechanisms, and coordination across ministries and civil society. Then this plan should focus on safely transitioning children from institutional to family and community-based alternatives. It's not just about choosing orphanages or closing orphanages. It's more about transforming them into centers that empower families. And so just one last thing to say, I know you want to make it very brief. The evidence is clear. The science is real. Children thrive in families. So I think we need to create a shared care reform resource hub, so practitioners have the right tools and knowledge, because many government, many individuals know it's not all about it's not about really believing the system. It's about how. Where do they start? What are the fears they have? So I think they need to, those who have not endorsed it, let's endorse and act on the Global Charter, starting with practical small-scale reforms, start redirecting donors' investment towards family strengthening and workforce capacity, and then start integrating care reform into broader development and education framework, so that there should be, that's how I think we can start moving forward. to make sure this vision start translating into reality.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much, Nabs. Right, we've got 3 sentences left. Everyone gets 1 sentence each. Anna, what is your 1 sentence as a message to young people and children?
My 1 sentence to young people and children is: your voices guide our actions, and as a country, we are building Zambia and the world where every child belongs in a family and no one should be left behind. 30 seconds.
Perfect, thank you. Christina.
Thank you.
Well, I guess that every child's story holds a value, and the Republic of Moldova is committed to ensuring that each child's journey is shaped by opportunity, dignity, and love.
Thank you. And then Minister Guterres in Paraguay, the last sentence is yours.
Que los niños, niñas y adolescentes tienen que estar en el centro de todas las políticas públicas. El cumplimiento efectivo de sus derechos es transversal a todos los esfuerzos que se puedan hacer del Estado, donde tenemos que velar y garantizar para que las familias tengan más oportunidades y que en primera instancia puedan ser esos espacios seguros y protectores de nuestros niños.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, colleagues, all of you, for your time and your insights. I wish we could have had longer, but there's so much to get through. I think, Moa, back to you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Nirav Patel. And I know you didn't want us to call you that, so thank you so much, Nirav. Really amazing. Thank you so much for moderating that really engaging fireside chat. And obviously, to echo your words, our deepest thanks to all the panelists for such thoughtful and inspiring contributions. Again, just to echo those words, we regret that our time for that discussion was short. It's clear that there's so much to unpack. Please rest assured that the questions you're sending in during this session will be responded to and circulated after the event. So from this conversation, we draw a number of important messages, but I'd just like to share one that is a summary for me, which is that the global commitment to care reform, represented here by voices from 3 continents, is growing. And we must move with the tide. We do that by learning from what is possible. You've listened there to what's going on in those countries, listening to those most affected, young people with lived experience, and my friend Nabs, and sharing our impact, obviously, through transformation. So we've heard clear calls to action, a powerful recognition of the voice of lived experience, Moldova's commitment to prevention and investment, Paraguay's demonstration of what's achievable through national leadership. So my heartfelt thanks again to Ms. Christina Jandic, Deputy Secretary General of the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection in Moldova, to my good friend Emmanuel Nabs, Director for Mission Advancement and Partnership at Helping Children Worldwide in Sierra Leone. And I'd also just like to plug Nabs's book, The Empowerment Shift. Please pick it up. We've endorsed it at Child's Eye Foundation and other organizations, so please pick up Nabs's book. And also thanks to Ms. Anna Mubukwanu Simbanze from Zambia, and well done for representing the Permanent Secretary. Please give her our best regards. And thank you so much to the Minister of Childhood and Adolescence in Paraguay, Mr. Walter Guterres, who we've learned so much from and I am particularly inspired from. This dialogue is a powerful reminder that care reform must always remain accountable to children and young people. So all of you here, take this message forward, share it with your colleagues, your networks, your governments. The opportunity for change is now, and together we can make it count. Allow me, folks, to move on to the next session. And we're going to Uganda and Colombia, like I said, around the world in 90 minutes. So allow me to introduce the Association of Care Leavers Uganda National Coordinator, Mai Namboze, and Michael Londono from Colombia, 2 outstanding young advocates, respectively, from Uganda and Colombia, who are honoring us by joining this session and exchanging their insights. Advocacy and leadership experience, championing the rights of lived experience young people in their contexts. I'd like to invite you both to come.
Thank you, Christopher. Thank you, the speakers before us. We are very honored to be here. My name is Maina Mboze. As Christopher mentioned, I lead the Association of Caregivers in Uganda. I'll let Michael introduce himself before we continue.
Gracias, May, es un gusto verte después de tanto. Buenos días acá en Colombia a todos y todas. Gracias por este espacio, es muy significativo y creo que honra el activismo y la voz de adolescentes y jóvenes alrededor del mundo que tenemos experiencia en el cuidado y que aportamos día a día en la transformación del sistema.
It's been a while, Michael. It's really nice to see you here after such a long time. So I have a question for you, Michael, as we continue this presentation. My question to you is, what challenges is in accessing services or rights would you like governments and donors to prioritize for?
Bueno, May, gracias por esa pregunta. Creo que es muy importante y antes de responder, digamos, a profundidad, me gustaría hablar de manera general. Ya tenemos un ecosistema. Los países ya comprenden y saben cómo se debe trabajar para prevenir, ¿sí? La violencia en la infancia, la adolescencia y la juventud. Ya sabe cómo fortalecer a las familias, ¿sí? Creo que en este tiempo se tienen los mecanismos, ¿sí? Y algunos accesos en algunos países para que eso se dé. Y la pregunta es, si ya se tiene toda esa plataforma y ya han participado en diversos espacios donde se pone sobre la mesa cuál es la importancia de trabajar alrededor de esto y que los gobiernos cumplen un papel importantísimo para liderar y promover estos cambios. Entonces, ¿qué pasa? ¿Por qué no se ha dado? Estamos en el escenario y en el momento perfecto, ¿sí? Entonces, ahí surge precisamente lo que dijo el ministro de Paraguay, la disposición política. Muchas veces esa es la barrera más grande que impide que esos procesos de reforma se den en los diferentes países. Y en ese sentido me gustaría hacer énfasis en unos puntos importantes, y es para que las familias puedan comprender cuáles son las oportunidades que tienen, se requiere fortalecer sus habilidades psicosociales y emocionales. Eso es fundamental para que las familias puedan hacer una introspección de ellas mismas y comprender la importancia de acompañar a sus hijos. Eso va a permitir garantizar un buen desarrollo y proceso en ellos. Ese es un punto muy importante, que los servicios sociales deben trabajar continuamente. Dos, fortalecer, digamos, esos conocimientos y esos accesos a la oferta estatal, ¿cierto? Para que ellos puedan acceder de manera estable a esos servicios, es muy importante. Y muchas veces se dice, no, es que ellos no quieren, o las familias son muy perezosas. Eso es un decir que se maneja mucho acá en Colombia, pero no se comprende el trasfondo que viven esas familias o el desconocimiento. La falta de educación impide acceder a un conocimiento, y ese conocimiento es el que permite precisamente poder comprender cuáles son las oportunidades que tengo y cómo acceder a esas oportunidades. Ese es un gran reto que hay con las familias vulnerables y de bajos recursos. Otro punto importante es generar estrategias claras y reales que les permita a las familias poder acceder a o desarrollarse económicamente, generar recursos que les permita poder sostenerse y sostener a sus hijos. Esa primera medida puede garantizar que estas familias puedan cuidar a sus hijos y no entrar en riesgo, ¿sí? ¿sí? De ser institucionalizados. Entonces, ahí respondo quizás un poco la pregunta que me haces, ¿vale?
Yeah, thank you, Michael. That was really detailed. And it brings me to one more question. You're leading a network for young people in your continent, in your country. What barriers do they most frequently face? And with your experience, who should take the responsibility of addressing these barriers?
Bueno, como lo dice, sí, lidero una asociación de personas que dejan el cuidado en mi país. También hago parte de una red de la región de Latinoamérica, donde trabajamos en acompañar el tránsito a la vida independiente de esos jóvenes, diseñar y promover políticas. Eso es un gran reto, porque las personas que vivimos esa experiencia en el cuidado, necesitamos de estructuras fuertes, ¿sí? Y esas estructuras fuertes son las que van a garantizar que, por una parte, las voces sean escuchadas y las propuestas que traemos sean tenidas en cuenta, y a partir de ahí, ¿sí? Se puedan ofrecer estrategias y servicios que beneficien las necesidades, ¿sí? Las necesidades de esta población. Entonces, en ese sentido, en Colombia tenemos un gran reto, ¿sí? Con todo este auge político que hay, estas brechas, ¿sí? Falta de recursos, falta de acceso para que los jóvenes puedan desarrollarse plenamente, es necesario de que se les brinde más apoyo, y esos apoyos vienen en varias líneas. Una, recursos económicos. Los recursos económicos garantizan que los jóvenes puedan tener acceso, ¿sí? Y esos accesos les permiten desarrollar sus capacidades, y el desarrollar sus capacidades les va a permitir poder tener oportunidades laborales para asimismo sustentar su vida y sus familias y continuar su proyecto de vida. Ahí todavía hace falta un gran, digamos, esfuerzo por parte de las instituciones del Estado para que esto se dé. Todavía hay una deuda a las infancias, adolescencias y juventudes, y sobre todo a las juventudes que han vivido la experiencia de estar en instituciones. Y aquí quiero, digamos, hacer énfasis también en las juventudes con discapacidad, ¿sí? Que requieren de espacios que les garantice a ellos poder tener una vida plena y acceder a todos los servicios. Entonces, como persona que lidera esta iniciativa en Colombia, por una parte, me siento orgulloso porque logramos una ley después de muchos años, y la segunda en Latinoamérica después de Argentina, que garantiza la creación de un programa de acompañamiento integral a las personas que salen de los cuidados en varias líneas. Y eso es un primer avance, y es un avance histórico y muy importante. Pero ahora hace falta la implementación. Ahí está el reto, cómo el Estado se une con las diferentes dependencias para que esta ley pueda llegar a todos los territorios, a todos los jóvenes, y beneficiarlos como está dispuesto en la ley. Entonces, creo que en este sentido estamos contentos, pero también estamos al frente siempre para hacer un llamado a que se continúen estos espacios.
Thank you, Michael, for that. You're doing amazing work in Colombia. We caregivers, we are proud of you and your network.
Gracias, May. En ese sentido también no me puedo ir y no podemos acabar este espacio sin también saber qué trabajo estás realizando tú y el impacto que estás generando precisamente desde la asociación en Uganda. En ese sentido, me gustaría saber desde tu experiencia vivida, ¿qué te impulsó a alzar la voz a favor de las personas con experiencia en el cuidado para promover estos cambios que en estos momentos estás haciendo y qué impactos buscas desde ahí generar a mediano y largo plazo?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Michael. Well, I would say my motivation is really drawn from my lived experience. You know, the emptiness you feel of being separated, you know, always fighting to fit in, always trying to bond with the strangers. And when you leave, the stigma that comes after being in an institution, the social isolation, the mental health challenges of not knowing what is next, not, you know, the anxiety, the depression that comes along when you leave the institution. And mind you, as you said earlier in your answers, these challenges are not only for me, it's for most of all of the care experience individuals. And I'm drawing this from the Caregivers Experience Report, a research we did between 2016 and 2019 that details the experiences of caregivers before they entered the institution, the life during the institutions, and as well as the aftercare. The challenges of us are mostly the same. And in Uganda, where we have no guidelines on supporting young people or children living institution care, you know, this like really motivated me to come out and start speaking, not alone, but together with young people. The impact I'm doing with my work, and maybe I'm seeking to contribute to, is a world where every child is living and thriving in a safe and loving, supportive family. And also, I would say to see a national guideline on supported independent living established and effectively enforced, ensuring that young people are living institutions receive the resources, the support they need to reintegrate integrating back in communities and thriving independently. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Michael, may I ask you to ask one more question just because of time? Thank you.
Claro que sí, Monse, gracias. Y precisamente iba allá, es fantástico esto, Mike, creo que nos conecta lo que acabas de decir y lo que hemos trabajado también conjuntamente en la creación del Consejo de Líderes Globales y lo que hemos trabajado en la carta, en la investigación también de la transición, creo que es importante. Y una última pregunta es, en tu camino como activista, ¿qué momentos o logros destacarías como más importantes y cómo eso ha fortalecido tu liderazgo y tu desarrollo personal y colectivo?
Oh, thank you, Michael. Because of time, I'm really going to be brief on answering this, but I would say the first one is myself and my network were invited to review the alternative care framework, and this did not only not bring our voices on the table, but also brought our voices to the policymakers, and give us the space also to to influence decision and policy change. I would say we are very proud that we've been part of the network that was consulted in the FCDO Global Charter on the Children's Care Reform. We are currently still celebrating the registration of our network to fully an independent organization, which is giving us a structure to amplify for the voices of people with lived experience and beyond. And also, I would say being in this space, being in this space have introduced me to great mentors. I can mention here and say Mua has been a great mentor, Mark Riley, Florence Martini, and so many others that have been mentoring me in strengthening my leadership skills. And I'm actually using these skills to lead the association. And also with this, it brings me to confirm to you that if care experienced people are empowered, they can really drive a meaningful change in the protection and care reform movement. Thank you. And yeah, thank you.
Gracias, May. Gracias, Nancy, por todo. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Michael, and thank you, Webale. Thank you so much, Mai. So before we transition, I want to just take this moment to acknowledge and thank Mai and Michael for that powerful and, for me, a deeply moving conversation. And Mai, thank you for that shout out. Honestly, your inspirational journey draws my strength. Together, Mai and Michael embody what care reform truly means. Leadership rooted in lived experience, courage, translated into expertise, and advocacy turned into action. Nothing for us without us. That is the rallying call of young people with lived experience who know that lasting reform is only possible through genuine partnership with those most affected. So again, thank you, Mai and Michael, for leading the change and for reminding us that the most powerful solutions, I think, often come from those who have walked the hardest journeys. I also want to thank you all for staying with us throughout this really important conversation. I personally have and feel a renewed energy after hearing from everybody today. I'm deeply humbled that excellencies, ministers, and soon we'll hear from civil societies and people with lived experience have taken the time to pause, listen, share, and engage in this dialogue for action. So as we move into our final segment, we turn to the heartbeat of this movement, my colleagues and friends from the civil society. These are the partners who translate policy into practice, who stand beside families every day, and who ensure that no child is left behind. They will share lessons from the ground, the opportunities ahead, and their collective message to the world leaders. Ladies, gentlemen, people everywhere across the world, please join me in welcoming my fellow civil society colleagues and advocates, Mr. Chantry Mwemba, Country Director at the Alliance for Children Everywhere in Zambia, Miss Maricela Reyes, Coordinator at the Foundation UNIDO and Suma Alternatives in Mexico, Mr. Pete Kent, Group Program Director at Railway Children Africa in Tanzania, but also their program in India and the UK, and Mr. Raju Gimere, Deputy Director at the Voice of Children in Nepal. Over to our civil society leaders, the voices that turn commitment into community transformation. And folks, it's always unfortunate coming towards the end, but I will give you a 5-minute warning. Over to you. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mua, for that resounding introduction. And pleased to be here in this space to continue soldiering on, on our agenda in terms of care reform. So my name is Chantry Mwemba, like Mua has already said. I'm a country director at Alliance for Children Everywhere in Zambia. So I am pleased, Mua, if I may, go ahead and make my intervention.
Yes, please. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I was seated here and listening, coming from Zambia, listening to the government of Zambia speaking, and knowing that Zambia is one of the 30 countries that are participating in terms of this global charter makes me proud and makes me feel re-energized that we are moving alongside the government of the Republic. The Alliance for Children Everywhere is one of the 119 organizations that have also signed up to this charter. So I'm surrounded by goodwill, I'm surrounded by commitment, and I'm very pleased that we're in this space. I have looked around on that list, and I'm asking myself which other dots are very important for this battle to be won. And I was telling myself, I wish France and Germany were here, because I would have asked them that they should sign up next. I was telling myself, I'm happy to see Kenya, but I wish Nigeria and South Africa were here, because I would have, appealed to them directly, to sign up on this charter. But maybe that is only speaking to what we need to do going forward, where the direction that our voices is supposed to take, because this is a global issue and we must all be at the table and make it happen. So as Alliance for Children Everywhere, we consider ourselves, particularly in Zambia and the region, as early adopters when it comes to family-based care. And we are proud of that because it's not easy. It's not easy for an institution to transition from institutional care to family-based care. There's a lot at stake. You have a lot of resistance from staff. You have a lot of resistance from funders. And I take it as an act of courage that is embedded in upholding the best interest of children for any organization to be able to take that leap and cross over to move to the other side. We have a proof of concept in Zambia. The proof of concept, would ordinarily come from literature, from research, but we are more compelled by the proof of concept from young people with lived experience. The moment we listened and heard their stories, we knew we were doing the right thing. And we didn't waste time. We began to work with them to ensure that they are established as a strong, independent movement of young people with a common agenda. We moved quickly to see how we could connect them with other networks, with other associations. And we are proud that the Caregivers Association in Zambia just last week finally got their registration certificate, and that they are connected to other networks like the Caregivers movement in Kampala, Uganda. I think for me, that has been one of the biggest milestones of the past year. And we know that in talking about family-based care, we are not alone. We are speaking together with young people with lived experiences. What remains is for us to continue to mentor them, give them a platform, and they will tell their story without any interference. We are proud of that. We have also...
Chantry, if I could ask you to just summarize.
Yeah, sure. We're also proud of the fact that a lot of the policy changes that have been happening in the country, we have been, working together with the government of Zambia, and a lot of that is informed by evidence from our experience in care, in case management, in trauma care, and in the capacity that we have acquired on tools that we can use to transition from an institution to a family-based care organization. So maybe for now, more, I'll end there. Thank you very much.
Amazing, Chantry. Thank you so much. I will not have an outro to Chantry. I will now invite Raju to come and make his commitment. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mua. Dear distinguished participants, Namaskar from Nepal. It is my pleasure and honor to be here with all of you today. I am representing from Voice of Children Nepal, a member of Family for Every Child. which is a global alliance of 56 local civil society organizations across 41 countries working to improve the lives of children and families. Around the world, members of Family for Every Child are working towards the same goal, ensuring that every child grows up protected, cared for, and supported by their families. Voice of Children Nepal is working towards strengthening family and keeping children in safe and caring family environment, including their extended family. To do this, we are advocating for kinship care of children who cannot be cared for by their parents to grow up in their own families. In Nepal, government policies prioritize family-based care of children separated from their families. The civil society organizations have been actively advocating for the care reform, including the promotion of and support for kinship care as a safe and sustainable first option outside the parental care. Kinship care is the most common form of alternative care globally, with 1 in 10 children growing up this way. In countries like UK, Indonesia, and Uganda, children are far more often placed with relatives, up to 20 times more than in other care arrangements. However, kinship care is often the least supported. Kinship care is deeply embedded in communities. With the right support, it can strengthen family and improve outcomes. It often leads to better health, education, and emotional well-being of children. This is preferred option for many children and is more cost-effective than other alternatives of children care. As National CSO member of Family for Every Child, working closest to the communities and collaborating as a global alliance, we are committed to supporting governments that have endorsed and will endorse the Global Charter of Children's Care Reform. We, member of Family for Every Child, stand ready to contribute to develop and implementation of policies and practice that prioritize safe, effective kinship care, which includes recognizing kinship care as a first option when parental care is not possible, providing a full package of support to children and caregiver, including psychosocial service, financial assistance, education, and child protection, ensuring high risk of case receive appropriate case management procedures, equipping child welfare professionals to respond to the specific needs of children in kinship care. Thank you very much for your attention and listening to me.
Thank you, Raju. Really appreciate your contribution. I'm going to now invite Maricela, and then after that, Pete. Please may I ask you to keep your interventions short and quite clear. Over to you.
Muchas gracias, Muwa. Un saludo desde México. Ante los retos que enfrentan la niñez y juventudes que viven o vivieron en el sistema de cuidados, nos reunimos un grupo de profesionistas con experiencia de al menos 25 años acompañando a esta población y elaboramos el año pasado la propuesta de una estrategia nacional para los cuidados alternativos de la niñez que busca acompañar el diseño, implementación y seguimiento de una política pública integral para garantizar que la niñez en México disfrute su derecho a vivir en familia y comunidad. Dicha propuesta, además de incorporar las recomendaciones internacionales, fue consultada con jóvenes egresados del sistema de protección. Esta iniciativa nos ha permitido tener diálogo con autoridades y logramos que el derecho a vivir en familia y los cuidados alternativos fueran incluidos por primera vez en el Programa Nacional de Protección Integral de la Niñez 2025-2030, la política pública más importante en nuestro país, y abrimos el espacio para que por primera vez adolescentes de 3 casas hogar participaran en su diseño. En las conversaciones con el personal del Sistema Nacional de Protección, les pudimos presentar la reforma del cuidado y explicamos la importancia de centrar los esfuerzos en trabajar con las familias, fortalecer sus capacidades y competencias, empezar acciones de manera urgente para prevenir la separación familiar y no solamente seguir recibiendo a la niñez y llenando las casas hogar que carecen de modelos de atención de calidad. El reto, después de la publicación del programa nacional, es que otras autoridades, sobre todo las responsables de protección especial, autoridades judiciales, personal de casas hogar, conozcan e incorporen en sus programas la reforma del cuidado, ya que sin la participación de todos no cumpliremos con los objetivos planteados en la campaña global. Así como la Convención de los Derechos del Niño marcó un cambio de paradigma, esta Carta Global marca el cambio de paradigma en los cuidados. No podemos seguir creyendo en este 2025 que seguir separando a la niñez de sus familias, mandarlos a casas hogar para protegerlos y olvidarnos de ellos hasta sus 18 años es lo correcto. Como sociedad civil que está convencida en que el camino es la reforma de los cuidados, ponemos a disposición nuestro apoyo técnico y acompañamiento a las autoridades y organizaciones de México y América Latina que lo requieran. Al gobierno de Reino Unido y al FCDO le decimos que cuentan en México con personas comprometidas para lograr los cambios que han planteado en la Carta Global y agradecemos esta oportunidad de dialogar con ustedes. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Maricela. Thank you so much for your contribution. Pete, I'm really sorry. I'm also going to ask you to come and just keep it really short. Over to you for your commitment.
Yeah, no problem. And thank you, Mua. I do just want to acknowledge that I'm a sort of last minute substitution. Actually, my friend and colleague Rose Kagoro should be presenting today, but she is still struggling without any internet access in Tanzania following the elections last week. So my thoughts, and I'm sure everybody else's, is for the people of Tanzania, and hopefully that situation calms down very quickly. So yeah, I'm Pete Kent, Group Program Director at Rewa Children. Rewa Children, as you mentioned, Mua, works in Tanzania, India and the UK, and our focus is to support children that live on the streets. Our mission is to create a world where no child has to live on the streets. So we enter this care reform space from a slightly different angle to some others. But we recognize, and we've recognized, one of our founding principles was family reintegration. We've always tried to get children that we find on the streets safely back home. And sort of that is exactly what the whole care reform movement is around. So, but it's important, I think, that when we talk about care reform, we talk about the family-based systems that we need to create. We need to create those systems for all children that are separated from their families. You know, and there are many different situations, dangerous, exploitative situations that children find themselves in, as well as those that are trapped in institutions. And we mustn't forget that. And that's a sort of call to action that I always make. And the one other point I think I'd like to say, and I think this is really demonstrated through the impact of some of our work in Tanzania and the reintegration processes that we've helped develop, and I think, you know, shown can really support families so that that situation can change, that family situation can change, and it is safe for children to go back. Our work in Tanzania, about 70% of the children we reintegrate go back to parental homes. The other 30%, we find kinship carers for them, and Raju very eloquently talked about the need for us to prioritize kinship care. That should be the last resort. Mark mentioned in his introduction that institutional care was not a last resort. If you try hard enough and you support to strengthen the government system deeply enough, then you will always find some form of kinship care or alternative family-based care. And I think that there's some real strong evidence from some of our work in Tanzania that can actually be done by working hand in hand with government and a range of other partners. And I love, it's great to have had Maya and Makol on the call, and we're trying to strengthen the voice and elevate the voice of young people with lived experience. But I want to add to that, we should also elevate the voice of parents. You know, we need to bring parents and caregivers into this discussion and elevate their voice and listen to them as much as we're doing with young people. So thank you so much for the opportunity. And it's great to have been involved in this conversation. Thank you.
Thanks, Pete. And of course, our thoughts and love to all the folks in Tanzania as well. Look, folks, we're at time, but we're really grateful that some of you have stayed with us. At this point, I'd just like to move into inviting Mark back to just give us a summary closure. And then I'll just end with a few things around the Q&As, and thank you to everybody that's been involved. Over to you, Mark. Please come back and summarize with closure. All right. So I've been advised that Mark is not on the call. So actually, I'm really, really grateful to everybody that's joined this dialogue today. Today, we've shown that ending child institutionalization is possible, and from Pete, that even children on the street can be with their families. It's possible with political will, targeted finance, and partnership with communities and those with lived experience. So I invite states representatives listening to us today to announce or strengthen time-bound pledges against the Charter, and international partners to redirect funding to family support for a future where all children can grow up in safe and loving families. It's within reach, and it is within reach in our lifetime. So folks, I want to say thank you to Marie and Kate in the background from Hope and Homes for Children, who have organized and enabled this to happen. And I've also been advised that there was just so many questions, which is fantastic. So we want to just remind you that we'll do our very best to answer as many of those questions and send them back and provide you with these answers as well. So we'll be in touch. Just thank you to everybody that's joined from across the world and those in Qatar. All the best. And we look forward to action and your contributions for the next time to come. Have a great day, have a great afternoon, a great evening, and a great morning. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.